everybody, welcome to Stockbridge. This is week 9 of sub 3 to Seville. Not been a great week at all. After the Sunday run last week, I went down with manflu for 4 days, and now Sue's gone down with it as well. So unfortunately, she's not with me today. But what I'm going to do today is what I replicated 2 weeks out from Seville 3 years ago, which is 3 laps around here, which is about 10k, 6.5 miles. Doing the first lap steady, second lap, see if I can do marathon pace, and then the third lap steady as well. So a good long run with a bit of marathon pace thrown in. When I saw Sue last night, when I picked her up from the station, she was looking really poorly. I instantly felt a bit dodgy myself, but then rather guilty that I'd given it to her. So yeah, not being a great week at all. Did actually manage to run on Friday and then about an hour yesterday, so I was feeling a bit better. Now all of a sudden I don't feel so good again, but let's see if we can do this first 7 miles and see how we feel. Anyway, can it have to be what it will have to be, won't it? And I've got a new purple Nike top here that I saw in a sort of fairly cheap to go along with my Next %2 shoes here with a bit of purple. I don't think I'll use these in the race, but they're quite good for training shoes as well, because they were one of the cheaper ones. Okay, 3 miles in, averaging about 7:30 pace. 7:20 was the last one, slightly downhill. This is a bit of a struggle though. I'm starting to think I'm not actually fully over this virus. So yeah, this is a bit worrying, but we'll crack on, see if we can muster up something for the middle section, see if I can get anywhere near marathon pace. Or I might have to suck this off, but yeah, I'll do something going on reasonably well. Heart rate's not too high, just feel a bit dead-legged. Anyway, talk to you later. So here's the route today. I started in the town of Stockbridge in Hampshire in the UK. I went anti-clockwise the first lap. It's sort of fairly flat here, rises a bit through the villages of North Houghton. Houghton's kind of the main one where it's sort of perfectly flat, and then over quite a few little streams here, and then you turn left onto the Testway, which used to be an old railway. There was a station at Horsebridge, which you stayed at before. I chose to run on the old railway, even though it's not tarmac, because it's the only easy way to run back to Stockbridge that's on the flat. So you do about 1.5 miles on the Testway, and then there's a road that then appears parallel. So I just popped under a gate, and you can then run on the road back to Stockbridge. It's a bit up and down this one, more up than down this way. And then for the second lap I did it the other way around, so that was the fast lap, and then the third lap I did it anti-clockwise again. Okay, 5.5 miles in. I must say this sort of steady pace feels like about as fast as I'm going to go today, but let's see how we feel. Just feel a bit sort of groggy still, bit of phlegm, legs a bit weak, you know, usual story, sort of post manflu type virus type cold. But yeah, so we've got 2 weeks to go, I suppose. It's a bit disheartening, but the pace is actually not too bad, but I'm miles off sub 3 pace, and I feel like I'm going to struggle to run any faster, but I'm going uphill at the moment. Heart rate's not too bad. I said that, it's 133, so that's probably about 10 minutes higher than it should be for this sort of effort. Anyway, crack on and see if we can at least do this marathon pace, or marathon pace effort, should we say, lap, and then see if I can just get around the last lap somehow. Okay, got the site of Stockbridge Station behind us, which is the roundabout, War Memorial here, and alright, but let's start if I can put some sort of effort into this, because I already feel like I'm putting effort in more than I can really handle. But yeah, let's see how we go. Okay, I'm on the Testway, which I have to do for a bit over 1 mile to keep it flat. I've put the effort in here, not feeling at all wonderful, but I saw a 6:47 for the first mile. Admittedly probably slightly downhill, but this bit will be harder on the track here. But yeah, we're trying, so that's all you can do really now. Okay, a lap down at marathon pace, that felt really hard effort actually, but at least I got through it. It was something. I can do this next lap now. Okay, just come through the village of Houghton, about halfway around the last lap. I've now had 2 gels. It's been a bit of a struggle today, but perhaps a little better than I thought. But I've been unwell for this week, so in a way to be able to run at all has been a bonus. And I did actually manage to do that middle lap at marathon pace. It'd be very interesting to compare with 3 years ago. It felt like a lot harder, but yet on the other hand I did it. I think it was only 1 mile. It was slightly slower than marathon pace because it had a big hill in it, but other than that, yeah, this is feeling a bit of a strain now. I've only got about 4.5 miles, 5 miles to go. Okay, see you then. Okay, signing off from the gents, lose in the 3 cups. So it was a bit of a massive run today, 20.65 miles, just over 2 hours 30. I'll put up the average pace. I think I managed to just about do sub 3 pace for the middle section. So I did 3 laps, and then I sort of reversed the direction on the second lap just to make it slightly more interesting. It's the lap I did for my 55k run, and also the same run 3 years ago. So I'm interested to see now how that compares. It felt like a lot harder, but I actually managed to get through the run, so that's a good sign. Right, I'm off to have my roast dinner now. No Sue, of course. Rather sad. And this place clearly wasn't built for 6'5", 195 people. Mind your head. With Vaporflies on, it's even worse. So let's have a look at the lap splits today. Started off with a 7:36, bit of a warm-up. It felt quite a fast start, and then a 7:25, 7:17 when it got a bit flatter. There's been a bit of a drag up there in the sort of first and second miles. And then I was sort of, getting to the rhythm about 7:20s. That was said on camera. It was starting to feel a bit hard. And did a U-turn in Stockbridge, ran back the other way. And I started off with a 6:47. It was slightly downhill, that one. A 6:46. It was fairly flat. You see the gap pace is almost identical. Then a 6:48, a 6:50. So very consistent pacing. Then a 7:05, but it had a bit of a drag coming out of Houghton. And then a 6:47 to finish. And then a quick U-turn at the car, went back the other way, and that was a bit more sort of a hard work. But yeah, the pace not too bad there. 7:32, 7:23, 7:26, 7:42. I think that was a bit on the old railway, it was a bit sort of slower. 7:38, 7:33 to finish, and then still about 7:21 pace to so a good overall run. Stats there: 20.65, moving 2:30.04. The only time I stopped was at between the second and third laps, just have a quick drink and take another gel. 2:31.38. So I didn't stop for about a minute and a half there. 7:16 pace moving. So it's interesting to compare the run 3 years ago with today, exactly 3 years ago. In fact, the stats are pretty much identical. I ran slightly further because I actually ran to the car when Sue was moving that time, but the average pace was 7:15 moving, and it's 7:16 today. You look at some of the other stats, my average heart rate today was 127 with a max of 144, and 3 years ago it was an average of 126 and a max of 147. Cadence was 182, where it was 183. It was both the next percent, so there's next percent 2 I was using today, but 3 years ago we had the original lime green ones, or I've called it electric green there, I think that might be the official name. I've done 317 miles in those now. I've already got the next percent 2s up to 89 miles very, very quickly. If we look at the comparison of the laps, then today I did the first lap 46.53 at 7:24 pace with the 1:22, which interestingly was a lot faster than I did 3 years ago. So no wonder perhaps I was feeling a bit today, because I went out and got considerably more effort. That was almost a minute slower at 47.43 with an average heart rate 4 beats slower. If we look at the fast lap, then it wasn't too much slower today. 43.28 compared to 42.44. I averaged 135 heart rate today, and average 135 heart rate 3 years ago, with a maximum of 144 today and 147 last time. So interestingly, I could argue that my heart rate was the same or a bit lower, if anything. Many people have run this segment. The only other person was Stephen Cousins, who ran that lap this way on my 55k, and a chap called Barry Christie. I don't know who he is. So if you fancy nicking one of my segments, then this is one to come and nab, but you'd have to run at sub 3 pace to do it. What was the cadence? Pretty much identical, 92 and 92, so 184 basically. And then the last lap, that was when I was perhaps feeling it a bit, 47.48 for the last lap, which is kind of steady in inverted commas, whereas 3 years ago I remember actually feeling quite good on that last lap, and actually ran that faster than perhaps I thought I was maybe able to. Although having said that, you see, 46.40, my average heart rate there was 127, and today running about a minute slower it was 125. So you could argue that, well, okay, I ran a bit faster, but my heart rate was higher to achieve it. It just sort of felt 3 years ago that it felt easier. But I'd sort of had a few problems 3 years ago, because I had a hamstring injury around Christmas time, and I'd run the Farnborough half marathon in 84.53, which was about 3.5 minutes quicker than I did this year, but it wasn't so cold that time, and I felt a bit more lively for that run. So yeah, maybe things aren't quite as sort of bad, as it were, in terms of compared to 3 years ago, where I ended up running 2:56. I mean, this run, although it kind of felt like a lot harder, I suppose I was coming off that virus, and actually look at the stats. Well, okay, I ran the first lap a lot faster, and then the middle bit was comparable, and then the third one, well, I was obviously tired, but yeah, perhaps it gives me hope. Just need to sort of now rest up for the next 2 weeks, put a bit of quality in, see if I can just finally shake off this virus. I do feel quite tired today. I mean, it was an example of a run where it today where I just felt really sort of like, you know, willpower to get through that. Very quick look at this Stryd stats. Not much air power again, although it was pretty still today, to be fair, between 1 and 2%, averaging 2%. What was my average power today? 280. And then what power was I getting to on the sub 3 bits? About 295, something like that average. So yeah, it's difficult with the air power thing, sort of like to know how that works, because sometimes I get more air power and sometimes I don't. But I mean, today was quite low, which kind of like is expected because it wasn't that windy. But I think on a flat course, I'm going to just go with pace. I mean, I'm kind of taking this Stryd data just out of interest, really. So I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe and all that. And just 2 weeks to go now. I've got one more video probably next weekend. We'll see what that brings. Hope I can feel a bit more lively. Matt said that if we feel okay, might do something a bit sort of shorter and faster, just to get some feeling of speed in the legs, because I haven't really done any fast work for a long time, and God knows what I could do at 5k at the moment. But yeah, it probably wouldn't be that great, but that's not really the aim, is it, anyway? So I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe and all that, and see you next one then. Bye.